Hello.
Hello.
How are you?
Overworked, underpaid, stressed.
Oh shit. Ain't we all ooh, I ain't mean to cuss. But ain't we all, child? Ain't we all? You guys listen. We are here. Welcome, welcome, welcome back to the Teacher Project 2.0. We know we ain't been here for a minute, but we here today. We are here today. Come on in, take a seat, get comfortable. So we can talk to you guys about all the shenanigans and things of that nature going on down to the education department and other places. Now, I know that today, when you go live, El Teddy, I'm sure you're going to have a lot to say about these elections that took place on yesterday.
Uh-huh.
So you're going to have a whole situation that I can't wait to hear the breakdown of.
We do have a lot to say.
Yeah. But other than that, so y'all make sure y'all are tuned in. He'll be on Twitch today. So if you are not subscribed to his Twitch, we'll have to get that link in the chat for you guys. If you are not subscribed to L Teddy's Twitch and you want to get that breakdown of all things that went down on yesterday, and I'm sure he's got a whole dossier of other items to go over. But with that being said, let's go ahead and jump into today's episode. Anything you want to say before we jump in? We just gonna jump in, y'all. And listen, we
I,
both
I
of us,
do
both of
want to
us got a timeline, so we're gonna just jump in. Go ahead. What you got to
I
say?
do want to say although it did not make our list today, I know that I share the sentiments of my dear colleague here that um what they are doing at the Department of Education, displaying Charlie Kirk
Oh
alongside
my god.
stalwarts in the education industry. A man who said that, who literally said that post secondary education or higher education was a Ponzi scheme and was a fraud and dropped out. A man who has, vilified members of the black community and said that we had different types of brains. A man who said that women would never be as smart as men. That's who y'all have up there.
Did you see that picture? And I should have pulled it so we could post it. Did you see that picture they posted? I believe it was earlier this week with the old schoolhouse full of white kids
Hmm.
standing in front of it saying the Pledge of Allegiance,
Hmm.
talking about make education great again. And I
Hmm.
reposted it on my social media. I said, "Notice what's missing.
Hmm.
Notice what's missing." Anyway, moving right along. Moving right along. Where do you want to start? Do you want to start at the Department of Education? Do you want to start in Florida? Where do you want to
I
start?
think the biggest story is the one with the student loans.
Okay, well let's jump right on in, you
I
guys.
think that's our
Petty
biggest
said we don't
story.
need no warm up today. We're gonna jump right into the student loans. He
Hmm.
said we don't need no warm up for y'all today, so let's go right on into it. I think it's this one right here. Yeah, this is it right here. Is this the one talking about canceling funds for mental health services?
No, it's the one,
I don't
the
see it.
first one.
Professional student definition.
Hmm.
Okay, got you. Truth is, oh shoot, y'all. Hold on, y'all know I'm on this MacBook, child. I'm trying to remember how to cut and paste, child. There we go. Got it. Okay, let's get ready to read it. Let's get ready to get into this article, honey. I just wanted to put it in the chat so y'all will have it. But let's go ahead and let's read it. Um, this is coming from Higher Ed Dive. This article is dated March the 3rd. Education Department is urged to broaden professional student definition. Professional students will be able to borrow $100,000 more than other graduate students, but a proposed rule will exclude certain fields from the higher cap. Here we go. With Republicans' massive spending and tax bill known as the One Big Beautiful Act set to take effect this summer, the U.S. Department of Education is tasked with crafting regulations that will fill in some of the details of the law's enforcement. Those details could have big consequences for colleges and students. Among them is what graduate programs and the department will consider professional, a designation that will qualify enrolled students for larger loans under new federal lending caps. The issue has been contentious since the Department of Education agreed on regulatory language that would limit professional programs to 11 fields, excluding certain graduate programs that often require licensure. The department acknowledged the controversy in the formal proposal released in January. Its summary stated that the designation does not reflect a value judgment by the department regarding whether a borrower graduating from that program is considered a professional. Rather, the department added it only interprets the term for the purpose of applying the new loan limits. But that's a pretty big only. The difference for students deemed professional and those deemed graduate is the availability of an additional $100,000 in federal loans for their education. That's because the cap for professional students, $200,000, is double that of graduate student under OBBBA's lending limits. The public comment period for the proposal ended Monday. The proposal and others tied to OBBBA's implementation drew roughly 65,000 comments. The Education Department is required to review all comments before issuing a final regulation. Many commenters expressed concerns that the regulation's narrow definition of professional student could limit entry into critical professions by dramatically reducing the aid available, which could in turn have workforce ramifications. Boston University President Melissa Gillum argued that a wide range of fields could be impacted. The proposed, quote, the proposed rule narrows definition of professional degree will make graduate programs less accessible to students pursuing degrees in critical fields such as healthcare, education, and business, among others, by limiting the amount of federal loans available, Gillum wrote in a public comment. The excluded professions, the Department of Education and Republican backers of the new law say the loan caps will reduce excessive student borrowing and force colleges to reduce their costs. At a recent higher education conference in Washington, D.C., Undersecretary Nicholas Kent, the top education department official overseeing higher education, said that OBBBA's policies would put downward pressure on colleges to lower costs, increase efficiencies, and prioritize high-quality programs. But many stakeholders worry the law's lending limits will limit access to education. In a memo to stakeholders about commenting on the rules, the American Council on Education called the Education Department's proposal an extremely narrow definition of professional degrees that doesn't align with the much broader definition, included in the OBBBA, and excludes hundreds of thousands of students from additional loan eligibility. According to ACE, 28% of all student loan borrowers require amounts exceeding the new lending limits, forcing students out of the many professional degree programs that exist outside of the 100 programs that have a detrimental impact student loan borrowers. ACE President Ted Mitchell said on behalf of over 3 dozen higher education organizations in a comment to the Department of Education filed Monday, this problem is most acute for professional programs in fields such as health, education, architecture, and business administration. The organizers flagged 17 additional fields for the department that they believe should be deemed professional based on stakeholder feedback, including nursing, physician assistants, audiology, physical therapy, public health, social work, architecture, accounting, and special education. Among the excluded fields, nursing is an area where workforce and educational shortage already exists, and many graduate nursing programs are costly. Adam Kinsall, president of the Nurse Practitioner Alliance of Alabama, wrote that the 20,500 annual federal lending caps on graduate students represent amounts that fall well below the cost of many advanced nursing programs, which frequently exceed $30,000 annually. Restricting access to federal loan support threatens the pipeline of clinicians needed to meet the current and future healthcare demands. One of the other professional organizations raising alarms is the American Academy of Physician Associates, which has found that median costs for PA programs frequently outstrip the forthcoming loan limits. In a recent AAPA survey of those in the field, a majority said capping federal borrowing would have forced them to delay or reconsider their path into the PA profession. David Forstein, president of Rocky Vista University, a for profit institution focused on medical related programs, echoed similar concerns about nursing and physician assistant programs. By preventing these degrees from being classified as professional degrees without basing it in Congress's intent, the department is preventing students from being able to finance their education through the federal student loan program. Instead, the department is allowing financial means to dictate which individual will be able to serve their communities, especially in areas that already lack sufficient medical providers. That was pretty much that's pretty much it. Hold on. Let me just read this last part. Other commenters raised alarms with the Department of Education about their fields being excluded from the professional degree as well. Michael Chang, managing principal of the architecture firm AC Martin, opposed the department's proposal over concerns that it would limit the pipeline of experts in the architectural field. Our firm depends on a consistent pipeline of highly trained licensed professionals to deliver complex construction projects that support public institutions, private investment, and the national economy. Reclassifying accredited agricultural degrees and capping federal student loans at $20,500 would create a significant barrier entry into the profession, further constraining an already limited workforce. All right, what say you, sir?
I am almost getting to the point where I don't know how to formulate messaging and words to make because at this point the people in Washington are hell bent on our demise and hell bent on ensuring that we are poor, that we are sick, that we basically go back into indentured servitude or some type of lower caste system. They're hell bent on that. My issue is I don't know what else to do to make the general public give a damn. And this is on both sides of the aisle. I don't know how else to help people give a damn about their own well-being, about their own livelihoods. And what's so sad is this administration is doing all of this nefarious stuff and no one's stopping them. Nobody's putting up a fight. Nobody is even saying, hey, there's a problem. It really be, had I not sent this to you and we not go through this right now, what is the probability that people would even know that they are putting things in place where they're deeming your degrees non-professional, one, and two, going the further mile to say, we're not even going to offer you as much financial assistance as you can. That's on the backdrop of the fact that we as a country pay tens of billions of dollars to a country the size of New Jersey with no resources or no ability to help us at all, can't do anything for us. We literally pay tens of billions of dollars of our taxpayer money, send it over there. They have free health care. They have free college education. and free protection from us. We don't get any of that. And the electorate is ignorant to all of this. They have no clue that any of all of this because they've taken over the media. So now we have state sponsored media now that isn't telling us anything. So we have an ignorant electorate. We have an alleged opposition party who thinks that silent defiance is the way out, and they're just waiting, I guess, for the midterms to magically change something, when in all actuality, we know really we saw what happened when Biden first got in there, and we had Cardones, whatever his name is, that was the Secretary of Education that did nothing. There was no codifying of anything. Then they did nothing to acknowledge education, nothing to put any teeth into anything. They just assumed that things would go as normal and people would go along with, standing rules and decorum and political norms. They don't give a damn. Excuse my French. And so now you're telling people I have a degree in architecture, right? No, you're not a professional. No, no, don't worry about that. We're devaluing these degrees. What you're essentially saying is we don't want anybody in these degrees. That's essentially what you're saying. We want less people. I'm going to go through some of that list of 17 fields is not exhaustive of all of the fields that they have deemed non-professional. But let's just look at fields like nursing, because that's not important. They're not professionals, right? You know what this is about, really, be? Too many of you people are getting in those fields. Too many of y'all are getting degrees over there. The percentages don't add up for them. So let's cut some of that. Cut some of the fat on that. Social work, nope, don't need none of that. We don't have a problem where we need social work in this country now, do we? Architecture, no need for that. Nope, none of that. Physical therapy, who gives a damn? Special education, well, hell, if we don't need social work, we damn sure don't need special education, right? I mean, I don't know where to go with this. I don't know what the answer is. I don't even know that there's a way to stop this. And most people aren't even aware that this is happening. So your son or daughter says, hey, mom, dad, I want to go and major in architecture. Sure. But we don't necessarily make a lot of money. So you're going to have to take out student loans. Oh, well, you're limited on the amount of student loans you can take out because that's not deemed a professional degree. I'm gonna let you go, really, because I'm not apathetic yet, but I'm at the point where I don't have a positive outlook on anything involving education at this point. And so maybe a bit of apathy is slipping in. I don't know. You got to help me.
Well, a couple of things. First of all, Nitwit, you made a comment. You said, I've been working in financial aid for the past 18 years. I think the rollout was messy, but these degrees were never considered professional for the purpose of borrowing loans. The biggest hit is the elimination of the Graduate Plus program. And so I was just asking, can you give me a little more clarity in that? When you say they would never consider professional degrees for the purposes of borrowing money, if you could just give me a little more clarity in that, because I want to be accurate. Because somebody else told me that as well. Another friend of mine who specializes in helping kids find money for college. She has a whole business where she helps parents find money for kids for college and stuff like that. And she said the same thing to me. So if you could just give me a little more clarity in what you're saying, like, you're saying that the biggest difference is the Graduate Plus program being eliminated. So then is that what it is? It's eliminating those professions of getting that extra money. The other thing I want to say is, and I don't want to put words in your mouth, but I want to understand. I don't think it's that no one is giving a damn. I think it's that no one with power to change anything is giving a damn. I don't know if that's what you meant.
I'm gonna no, no. I literally, well, I shouldn't say no one, but so few people seemed alarmed. Like in the grand scheme of things, and I know that's the whole design. In the grand scheme of things, things involving education are way, 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 way down on a totem pole. You know what I'm saying? So the concern, the sense of urgency, the exigency of the situation just is not there. And
But
that's kind of where I'm at with it.
yeah, so I see it differently. I don't feel like it's not there. I feel like a lot of people are fighting, but I feel like everybody's fighting fires in their own silo. I don't. I mean, because I mean, I know a lot of people are fighting. I mean, I feel like I'm fighting in my own way. I mean, we're all fighting. We're all doing things. Well, not all, because again, it ain't all. But I think the people with the power to change it aren't doing anything. At least that's how I feel. But
Mhm.
I mean, I hear what you're saying. I mean, I hear your experience. So Nitwit says the term professional in this case only pertains to how much a student can borrow. When students are awarded financial aid, degrees listed as professional have access to higher borrowing limits. Doctors and lawyers were able to access more direct loans, but other fields such as nursing and social work were only ever able to borrow 20,500 per academic year under that program. So then what is changing? You're saying the only thing that's changing is they're taking away the student plus
This is,
program?
well, from what I understand
Because
in
that's
my
not how that
research
article
from
read.
it, from what I understand, this is for mainly this is the change is in a lot of the graduate programs.
That's
So
what
as
she
you
okay,
go
so
get
that's
your
what she said.
master's and your doctorate in these programs, what they're saying is you're not going to be able to borrow as much to get your master's, specialist degree, doctorate degree in these programs. So if you get a master's in special education, what they're saying is you're not going to be able to borrow as much when at the graduate level those things were considered professional. If you get a master's or doctorate in these fields, those were at that level considered professional. You could borrow in some cases up to 200K.
So that's what okay. So then what's so okay. So it was never deemed a professional degree. However, the graduate plus program was available for people to make up the difference and borrow more money that were in those other fields. Got it. So the wording is misleading and the way they're wording it is misleading. However, the end result is the same. The money that used to be available to make up that difference is no longer being available. Is that I just want to make sure we're
Mhm.
accurate. No, I'm talking to Nitwit, but yeah. I just want to make sure I'm understanding that correctly. Okay, cool. Yeah. But so the end result is the same that they are eliminating that extra money to take up the difference for people. Got it. Okay, that's just saying the rollout is messy. Got it. Thank you for that clarification because I want to be, we want to be as accurate as possible. We want people to understand clearly what it is that we're saying. So thank you so much. I appreciate that. Where do you want to go next, sir?
Um,
We can do the others, Department of
let's do
Education, or
mental
we
health.
can do
Let's
Florida.
just get mental health out the way, yeah.
All right, let's do the mental health, and then
And
we'll
then we can go to the other to two of the three parts of the holy trinity of
yes,
racism, bigotry, and discrimination.
yes, got it. Excuse me, I'm sorry. This article is coming from Maine Public. It is dated March the 3rd of 2026. The court blocks Department of Education from canceling funds for mental health services. The Ninth U.S. Circuit Court of Appeals handed a victory to Maine and 15 other states last week by blocking the U.S. Department of Education from its effort to cancel funds for mental health services in public schools. The court determined that the Trump administration failed to make a strong showing that it engaged in the reasoned decision making required to notify the recipients why their multi year grants are being discontinued. The funding represents over $2 million awarded to Maine to hire mental health service providers at districts across the state. The court's permanent injunction issued does not require the department to release any funds to the states that sued, but does require it to issue new funding decisions. The Maine Department of Education received a notice of continuation Monday that the federal administration is awarding 6 more months of funding and has requested an updated budget report to determine whether to allow this grant to continue through the end of the year. The Maine Department of Education is currently utilizing grant award carryover as well as a 5 week interim grant award for approximately $164,000 to support the non-participating school administrative units in retaining their school-based mental health providers. Yeah, because of course, because we don't need mental health. We don't need that in school. That's the article, El Teddy.
I know, I'm aware. I'm just like we we spent so much great money, time, and energy for the worthwhile cause of making sure that am I echoing? Do you hear echo?
I don't hear echo, but go ahead. It might. I don't hear echo.
Let me go out and come back in because I hear myself echoing.
Okay. So with that being said, I just want to say this. Listen, at the end of the day, I can appreciate. Okay, y'all hear the echo? Can you still hear echo? Because maybe it's me. Because I don't hear it. You still hear the echo? Okay, you can't hear it now. Okay, cool. So it was El Teddy. Okay. All right.
Is that better?
Yeah, it's better. Okay.
Okay,
All
it
right.
was me.
Yeah, I just, again, you guys, I mean, here's the thing. I'm glad they won in the Court of Appeals. However, y'all know how this goes. Then it goes to the Supreme Court, and who knows what the hell the Supreme Court is going to say. I think it's just ridiculous that I mean, it's so ridiculous that I mean, how do you justify not wanting to provide mental health in school other than we know the ultimate goal is to destroy public school? I mean, we know what the goal is. The goal is to destroy public education, because those are services that they've deemed are going to more minority students than going to white students. Whether those facts are true or not, that's not the point. That's what they've decided. And so therefore, anything that they feel is going into minority neighborhoods at a greater percentage than in non-minority neighborhoods, they feel like it's not needed. So here we are again with them eliminating a program that money has been set aside for students for mental health issues. And again, mental health, we know, runs the gamut. Mental health isn't just, depression or bipolar. Mental health runs the gamut. And we're talking about maybe mental health professionals in schools could help stop the next mass and what happening, or mental health professionals for students who are in crisis that can help them before they do something that could potentially be violent or affect other students. It's just so many different layers to this. But again, like you said, but here we are.
I think what I was going to say before I left is we spent so much, and you've seen this as well as I have, but over the years, over the last 25 years, the great strides that we've done in mental health, in diagnosing students more accurately, in making sure that we accommodate them, in making sure that we have a good understand, even in the medical part of it, making sure that they're just not medicating them to the point where they're a vegetable almost. You know what I'm saying? Like there have been so many inroads that have been made, and for them to make this attempt to just, say, screw all of that, we just gonna throw it in the trash and we just don't give a damn. Because I got what they're setting this up for, this wanted privatization or sending them all to charters. Here's going to be the problem: the issues are not going to go anywhere, they're going to become magnified. And then what do when the private school, the charter school says, yeah, we don't want them, and you've eliminated and gotten rid of all of the public schools? What then for the children then? Do we then say, well, there you're on your own, parents, you got to do homeschooling now? Like, what? There's no plan These people have no plans for anything, and so you're muddying the water with regard to incentivizing people wanting to come into a field where you're openly telling them, yeah, we're going to make no accommodations for that kind of stuff. We don't give two craps about it. So I just wonder, in their master plan, when these kids end up at the charters or the private, really be, they're going to end up back where? At the public, because they're going to get kicked out. They're going to get the money for the kids and they're going to throw them out. And those kids are going to have to go somewhere. And now you're expecting the public education to fund that child when the funding is already going to the private school or the charter school. So now we have to provide all of these services where we're already, underfunded for, like, it's not adding up. But here we are. Here we are. But it's going to go to the Supreme Court.
Yeah, I mean, y'all know that's listen. That's why I don't even get excited when they win anymore. It's like, okay, we won, but we know where it's going. We know it's heading on down the road, and we know when it ends up at the Supreme Court, what's 9 times out of 10 going to happen. So it is what it is. But I mean, we'll take solace in the small victory, I guess. I mean, I guess. Anyway, y'all, look. Where you going next? Florida.
I mean,
It don't even matter.
Either one. It
Eeny,
don't,
meeny, miny, mo,
it
right?
don't even matter. Either one.
All right. Well, let's start with Texas, child. Yeah, that's your. I think you like talking about Governor Hot Wheels, child.
He gives me so much to talk about.
You give me joy. All right. This is coming from AOL. Dang, I didn't know AOL. Wow. All right, AOL. Islamic school exclusion from Texas voucher program is religious gerrymandering lawsuit alleges. So this is dated March the 3rd of 2026. So let's get into it. A Muslim parent is suing a number of Texas officials alleging they have categorically excluded Islamic private schools from the state's school voucher program. The lawsuit names citing Comptroller Kelly Hannick, Attorney General Ken Paxton, and State Education Commissioner Mike Morath. Harris County parent Medee, I don't want to say your name wrong, baby, Medee C, I'm going to just say C, claims the school, claims the school where his two children attend, Houston Quran Academy Spring, is being blocked from the state program because of its Islamic religious identity and Hannick's impermissible religious gerrymandering. The filing goes on to say the school meets the neutral requirements for inclusion in the voucher program. The lawsuit claims that the comptroller is using Governor Greg Paxton's designation of the
Greg
council.
Abbott.
Did I say what I say?
Greg Paxton.
Lord, my bad. Greg Abbott designation of the Council on American Islamic Relations as a terrorist organization and a school having Islamic ties to deny the entry of any Islamic school to the Texas Education Freedom Accounts program. Because, yeah, they're all terrorists, of course, right? HQA Spring has hosted or permitted the use of its facilities for community events, including educational Know Your Rights presenters open to publics and students regarding civil rights and legal protections available under U.S. law. Type of civic engagement and community service routinely hosted by religious institutions of all denominations, the lawsuit states. Court documents state that no Islamic school has been approved as a school for the voucher program when the application process opened for parents on February the 4th. The exclusion, quote, the exclusion is not based on individualized findings of unlawful conduct by any specific school, but rather on categorical presumptions that Islamic schools are suspect and potentially linked to terrorism by virtue of their religious identity and community associations, court documents stated. The lawsuit names Hannick in his official role as comptroller since the administrators of TEFA program. Paxton is named as a defendant because of a legal opinion in response to Hannick asking about exclusion authority. The lawsuit names Marath in his role as education commissioner because the office sets state standards for private schools. The plaintiff says he pays $17,000 per year for his children to attend the school, and that his children's tuition would be covered if the school were accepted into the program and he were eligible for the voucher program. He is asking the court to order that the school's application to TEFA be processed under the same neutral, non-discriminatory standards applied to non-Islamic private schools. The deadline for parents to enroll their children in the voucher program is March the 17th. This lawsuit comes after Texas Democrats sent a letter to Hannock accusing the acting comptroller of using blanket exclusion to block Islamic schools from joining the program. Hannock has previously asked Attorney General Ken Paxton for a legal opinion on the agency's authority to determine the eligibility of certain private schools in the program. The people of Texas deserve the highest assurance that no taxpayer dollars will be used directly or indirectly to support institutions with ties to a foreign terrorist organization, a transitional crime network, or any adversarial foreign government, the request said. In January, Paxton issued an opinion stating that the comptroller's office has the full authority to prohibit schools under other relevant laws, provision of Senate Bill 2. Quote, let me be crystal clear. Texans' tax dollars should never fund Islamic terrorists or America's enemies, Paxton said of the opinion. And the comptroller's office has always possessed exclusive authority under the TEFA framework to stop any school illegally tied to terrorists or foreign adversaries from accessing taxpayer dollars, and this opinion affirms that authority. There is no question that the comptroller's office is statutorily charged with ensuring that our school choice program is protected from abuse by terrorists or the Chinese Communist Party. End quote. While the Attorney General's opinions are not legally binding, they are used as a guide by state agencies. Pax's opinion came in response to Hannock's question over whether schools that had hosted events for the Council on American Islamic Relations or had alleged ties to the Chinese government could be banned from the program. Governor Greg Abbott designated CAIR as a terrorist organization in November. The group has since filed a lawsuit claiming the proclamation is based on defamatory and probably false statements, end quote. Lawmakers said multiple Islamic schools have been denied or removed from TEFA eligibility despite having no affiliation with CAIR or any designated organization in generalized allegations. And then it just goes on to talk about school choice in Texas, which we have talked about ad nauseum. So you guys can go back and if you have any questions, you can go back and to our old videos where we talk about school choice. But
it's racist.
well,
I don't know
there's
what
no
else.
other way of saying that.
It's racist. This is Texas. This is Ken Paxton, who is running to be a member of the United States Senate, where he will make federal laws and help enact federal laws on this type of stuff. It's racist. Because first of all, Governor Hot Wheels doesn't even have the ability to deem anything a terrorist organization. That is something that the federal government has to do. So him deeming CARE a domestic terrorist organization or a terrorist organization is it
It
means
exceeds
nothing,
his purview.
right? And
Not
Ken
that he cares
Paxton
about that,
pouncing
but
on that and saying that, yeah, since Governor Hot Wheels said it's a terrorist organization, that anybody that's Muslim must be a terrorist in his estimation. Any school that's because y'all are all about religious schools, right? So you're saying that any school that, you know, educates on Islam must be a terrorist school raising terrorists or something like. I'm really trying to thread the needle on this, but these people are racist. That's exactly what they are. And left to themselves, it would be like what you said at the beginning of the video. Really, be they would have just white kids, not even white little girls, white
Yeah.
boys in school, and that's it. And then they would differentiate on that because then they would do purity test on your whiteness. Do you have a drop of black blood in you? Do you have a drop of Hispanic Latin blood in you? Here we are. I'm gonna go drop and come back again because I think I'm echoing again, and I don't know what's wrong.
Okay. Well, we have one more article. So while LTD drops and comes back, listen, all I have to say again, the blatant racism in this is so ridiculous. But like Quake said, but the sad part is they're going to lose their lawsuit. Why are they going to lose the lawsuit? Because the Supreme Court for the state of Texas is stacked. I mean, Greg Abbott has stacked the deck as it relates to that. So unfortunately, they're not going to win. They're not going to win the case because the Supreme Court is so stacked. We talked about that in Florida about how you stack the court first before you start passing these ridiculous laws so that you know that your ridiculous laws are going to get pushed through. There it is. 1 + 1 = 2. But to quote my colleague, but there you go. There you have it.
And then there's that.
That too. And here we are. Exactly, Quake. If they're a terrorist school, why? If they're a terrorist organization, why are they a school? Like the fact that you're not trying to close them down. Like, hello.
Oh, don't think that's not a possibility that
I'm
they're
not saying this,
exploring.
no. That's not what I'm saying. I'm not saying it's not a possibility, but what I'm saying is, like, hello. Don't get me wrong, and I'm not saying they're not going to try to do it, but it's just like, hello. Anyway, let's get into our final story, you guys. And this is coming from one of my favorite publications, the Times of India. I like the Times of India, honey.
They do good reporting over there.
They do really good reporting. And this is dated March the 4th. Florida public universities pause hiring foreign faculty that are on H-1B visas until 2027. Florida University System has decided to temporarily stop hiring foreign faculty members through the H-1B visa program. The decision affects new hires across the state's 12 public universities and will remain in place until January the 5th of 2027. While the policy focuses on recruitment procedures, its consequences may reach far beyond university human resource departments. The Florida Board of Governors, which oversees the state university system of Florida, approved a temporary suspension of hiring foreign professionals under the H-1B visa program. The H-1B visa program also allows employers in the United States to recruit foreign professionals for specialized occupations. These roles often include fields such as science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. The suspension will apply only to new employees at Florida's public universities. Existing faculty members already working under the program will not be affected. According to the information posted on the board's website, the restrictions will remain in effect until January the 5th of 2027. The decision follows earlier directions from Florida Governor Ron DeSantis. In October last year, DeSantis asked universities to tighten oversight of what he described as visas misuse in higher education. He argued that some institutions were hiring foreign workers instead of qualified American candidates. At the time, DeSantis said universities were importing foreign workers on H-1B visas instead of hiring Americans who were qualified and available to do the job. Neither the governor's office nor the Board of Governors immediately responded to requests for comment after the new regulation was reported. The H-1B visa program has long been a key pathway for universities to recruit global talent. Under current federal rules, the U.S. issues 65,000 visas each year. An additional 20,000 visas were available for applicants with advanced degrees from American institutions. The visas usually allow professionals to work in the country for 3 to 6 years. Universities rely on the program to recruit professors, researchers, and technical specialists in fields where expertise may be limited within the domestic labor pool. Data from the U.S. Citizenship and Immigration Services show that more than 6,000 beneficiaries received the H 1B approvals through Florida's 12 public universities last year. The Florida decision also arrives amid broader changes to immigration policy. Last year, Trump imposed a one time $100,000 fee for H 1B visa applicants. The measure formed part of a wider effort by the administration to tighten immigration rules, excuse me. The higher cost has already raised concern among universities that rely on international researchers and faculty members. For many institutions, recruiting talent from abroad required balancing research priorities with increasingly complex visa regulations. At a glance, the suspension may appear limited. It applies only to new hires and is set to expire in early 2027. Yet, even temporary restrictions can influence academic hiring patterns. Universities often plan faculty recruitment several years in advance. Departments in science, engineering, and technology fields depend heavily on global talent pools. A pause in visa based hiring may slow recruitment special I'm sorry, may slow recruitment in specialized research areas. Students may not notice immediate changes in classrooms, but over time, the composition of faculty and research teams could shift of international hiring becomes more if international hiring becomes more restricted. For universities that compete globally for talent, even small adjustments to visa policy can reshape how academic departments grow. The impact of the suspension will likely unfold gradually. One question is whether the policy remains temporary or evolves into a longer term hiring rule. Another is how universities adapt their recruitment strategies during the pause. Observers will also watch whether similar restrictions appear in other states. Higher education in the U.S. has long relied on international scholars to sustain research, innovation, and teaching. Decisions about who can enter the system therefore carry consequences that extend well beyond university hiring offices.
I think we underestimate what this will do to higher education and academia. And a lot of the sciences and maths and things like that. A good portion of the faculty at these schools come from from overseas. I'm just gonna be honest with you, comes from overseas. We know that where this is coming from. This is again, it's racist. It absolutely is, as is their whole immigration policy. I think the reason they're putting this temporary thing on it because we're going to get to November or December and they're going to extend it. That's just how this is going to work. So they're going to put it started as being temporary and then it'll become permanent. And this comes at the same time that you have Florida and some other states as well not making it lucrative or even giving people an appetite to want to work for the Florida university system and some other university systems around the country. Why would anybody want to go and subject themselves to that? We've done stories from Florida. We've done stories from Texas where they're firing professors who are simply teaching facts. They're literally firing professors for teaching facts. And you want people to come and work for you? Like you think that the average American is going to come there and say, "Yeah, let me go work for as a professor at the University of Florida or Texas A&M University." Why would anybody want to do that? Why? So you are you're cutting your legs off right before you're going on to run a marathon. It just doesn't make sense. But nothing that these people do make sense. People don't understand racism is expensive. Racism is costly and expensive. If it not being for black people being a race of people that are what's the word I'm looking for? Resilient, having the temerity to say we're going to excel regardless, most of the inventions that the human race have would not be here. Don't let's not get it twisted. Most of the technology we have in this country, most of the things that we appreciate, black people did it, and white people stole the patent or stole the blueprints and got credit for it. Because if you expect me to believe that Alexander Graham Bell invented the telephone, you're dreaming. Or that Thomas Edison invented the light bulb. We got, what are we talking? Really, yeah, you know better than I do. Really, be you're our historian here. So, and let's not diminish people from
I
other.
mean, if you took my class, you know who really invented those
Exactly.
things. If you took my history class, I mean, I'm just letting
But
you know something.
God forbid you try to teach history at the university, at the Florida
I'd
University
be
system or
fired. I
Texas
wouldn't have no job,
University
honey.
system. So, but I think because of our inherent xenophobia and racism, we miss out on so many people that could do so much to help America. If you're supposed to be America first, doesn't that mean let me bring in the best and most qualified instructors to come here and teach our people? People, isn't that truly an American? Because think about it, I'm cutting off people from all China, Japan, India, all of these countries all over the world because okay, whatever. These people are stupid. Go ahead, really be.
I mean, I ditto everything, but I'm gonna also, El Teddy is usually the one to do this, so this time I'm gonna do it. We're gonna pat ourselves on the back because we literally, even before this latest election disaster, I'm talking about not yesterday, I'm talking about last year, when Trump was elected. We talked about this H-1B visa in Florida before the election. We
Did
told you what Ron DeSantis was doing. He said what he was doing. And so, again, if you listen to us, not that we could do much to stop it, but we talked about this, that this was the plan, that this was the direction that they wanted to go in. And now here we are. Unfortunately, like El Teddy said, and like the article said, I don't think people understand what the ripple effect long term. And when I say people, I don't mean the people who are doing it, because the people who are doing it know exactly what they're doing. I'm talking about the people who are like, well, we'll just hire some Americans to do it. The people who are like, well, good, that frees up jobs for Americans. Ma'am, sirs, if there were Americans that were here that were qualified to do the jobs, guess what? They wouldn't be hiring 65,000 people from outside of the United States to do these jobs. Hello? Am I speaking out of turn, El Teddy? I mean, correct me.
no.
Okay. I mean, I don't want to sound like, and I'm not saying that there aren't Americans who could do the job, but if they could fill those 65,000 vacancies, they would be filling those 65,000 vacancies. So again, the ripple effect is where we started at that first article, that the ultimate goal is to eliminate public education and create only a space for who? Rich white men. I mean, I don't know how else to say it. Am I wrong? Tell me when I'm wrong.
You're not wrong.
Okay. All right. I mean, just, because look, I don't want to, I don't want nobody to be, but tell me when I'm talking out of turn. But I mean, ultimately, we talked about this, you guys, and, it's not that, listen, we want to bring good news. We really do. But we also feel like it's our obligation to inform you of what's going on. And unfortunately, what's going on right now ain't good news. It isn't. And when we can bring you the victories and we can bring you the positives, we do. But I think right now is more important, or just as important, I should say, to let you guys know what is really happening so that you can govern yourselves accordingly, for lack of a better word. But anyway,
we never want you to not feel like you didn't know what was coming down the pipeline. We always that's very important to us. that we make sure that you all are intimately informed of what is happening out here, because they want you willfully ignorant. They absolutely want you ignorant to what's going on, so things can slip under the cloak of darkness. And by the time it's enacted, you're like, "Well, how did this happen?" And they're like, "Oh yeah, you missed that part that has been going on."
Right. Um. Well, I would be remiss if I didn't plug this before we get out of here, because unfortunately I will not be live tonight. I know I wasn't live last night. I have a meeting this evening, and so therefore I will not be live tonight. So El Teddy is going live immediately after this, and he will have the floor until he has to leave, because he also has a meeting this evening. I will be back tomorrow, probably early, because El Teddy is traveling this weekend. So I have free
No,
reign.
I'm traveling Friday.
I thought you said Thursday. Never mind. I'll be
Mm-mm.
back in my regular time Thursday. I'll be at my regular time on Thursday. But I would be remiss if I did not mention that we are getting back on the ship in February of 2027. Please join us. It's 43 of y'all in here right now. If you are not booked, get booked. We have a goal. I'm trying to book 50 cabins. The last time we had 28 people and like 21, 22 cabins. So we try to double what we had last time. And we really had a good time. El Teddy was there and he cut up. He cut up,
I
honey.
did not cut up.
You He cut up, y'all. Cajun, who's in the chat, was there. Y'all know Cajun cut up because Cajun know how to act. He don't know how to act on a good day, so y'all know he cut up. Quake is coming with us. Majini, I saw her in the chat. So anybody that I missed, Janae, get on this boat. Where was Janae? Where was Janae, El Teddy? Why Janae wasn't on this boat with us?
I don't know.
Now this is now I know the other
Janae
Janae just
says
got
she's
married.
coming to the field trip
Oh well, good.
in New York. Janae says she's
So
gonna come on the field trip, the class field trip in New York, August 7th through
Well, I
10th.
will be on the class field trip. Matter of fact, I'm getting my ticket. Me and Cheryl are coming, and we're coming up on the train, and we're getting our train ticket tomorrow. Um, but if you are interested in now, El Teddy will be making a full announcement about the field trip. I know he's been throwing hints and dropping stuff, but
No, I made a full announcement.
oh, I missed it. My bad. I apologize. I missed the full announcement.
Last Friday we did a whole live on it.
The whole live on Friday. How did I miss
Yeah,
that?
last week Friday.
Where was I last
I don't
Friday?
know.
Well, clearly I wasn't in the live. Okay, my bad. But we're going on the field trip and we're going on this boat. So listen, we are a good time. Hang out with us. We're going to head to New York in August, and then in February we are going on the Tribe Bowl 2.0. So make sure y'all join us. The information is up there on the screen. And with that being said, we're going to meet everybody over at El Teddy's house in about 10-15 minutes. Okay? Any final words? You got final words, sir?
I do not. We'll see you over there. That's it. That's all.
All right. Y'all have a good evening. I will talk to y'all later. I got to go eat me some dinner real quick and get dressed, honey. Talk to y'all later. Peace. This is what our outro would be if we had one.